Good morning students. Welcome to the online teaching session of Academic World School by Mitra. I hope that you all have watched the videos as well as you have completed your assignments. Today also you will get the assignment, and I will request to you all that please complete the assignment on time and send that through ERP. In the last video lecture, you all studied that Indian government, they introduced new economic policy in 1991. There were various reasons behind the adoption of new economic policy. The main reasons were poor performance of the PSUs, fall in the foreign exchange reserves, deficit in the balance of payment, the inflationary pressure, inefficient management, etc. There were many problems, and due to that, Indian government approached to IBRD and IMF. IMF and IBRD, that is popularly known as the World Bank, they granted loan for $7 billion, and they expected that India will liberalize their economy. They will open up, they will end all kind of restrictions from the private enterprises. And that's reason in July 1991, Indian government, they introduced new economic policy. As I told you in the last video lecture, during this, Prime Minister of India was Mr. Narasimha Rao, and Finance Minister of India was Dr. Manmohan Singh. So these two persons, they totally changed the Indian economy that was the socialist based to totally a globalized economy. Under the new economic policy, government, they adopted two kind of measures. The first measure was stabilization measure, that is a short-term measure under which the main aim of government was to control the inflation, and second one, to raise the foreign exchange reserves in India. Second one was the stabilization measures, that is a long-term policy under which the main aim of government was to use the resources of India in more efficient way, as well as to introduce a competitiveness and to remove all the rigidities from the Indian economy. And that's the reason three main policies were introduced by government known as liberalization, privatization and globalization. Liberalization in place of licensing for industries, privatization in place of quota for trading and industries, and globalization in place of permit of trading with other countries. So LPG took place or replaced to LQP. So dear students, today we will discuss two main policies of new economic policy, that is liberalization and privatization. So let's start. In the last video lecture, I defined you what is the meaning of liberalization. Liberalization means removal of entry and growth restrictions on the private sector. Liberalization means earlier, prior to 1991, there were a lot of restrictions over the private enterprises because most of the industries were under the control of government. But the first thing that government introduced, that was to liberalize, to get freedom to the private enterprises in India. The main purpose of liberalization was to unlock the economic potential of the country, and second one, to introduce much more competition into the economy. Earlier, government adopted various policies which were main aim to protect the domestic industries from the international industries. Due to that, after 40 years, we saw a number of problems that arose in Indian economy, and due to that, government had to take in certain steps to re-regulate or reform the economic policies for the growth and development of India. So liberalization is the first pillar, which main purpose was to unlock the economic potential of our economy and to introduce competition. Means that now the concept changed, that survival of the fittest. I think you learn about it in grade 10. So the company that will survive in the economy, that will be fit for the consumer from the side of the consumer as well as for the company. So competition was introduced by government through the new economic policies. Now, what were the main reforms took place under liberalization? So these are the main reforms what took place under the liberalization. First one is that industrial sector reforms. Second one, financial sector reforms. Third one, tax or fiscal reforms. Fourth one, foreign exchange reforms. And the last one, trade and investment policies. So let us discuss each reform in detail. First of all, industrial sector reform. In order to make necessary reforms in the industrial sector, government introduced a new industrial policy on 24th July 1991, and under that government has introduced the following reforms. The first one, reduction in industrial licensing. As you all know that through the IPR 1956, government has decided to categorize the industries in India into 3 schedules, and under Schedule C, government has given license to the private sector to set up their industries, and due to that most of the industries were under control of the government. But after 1991, first of all, government has abolished the licensing system from most of the industries except few industries. Like, what were the few industries? The first industry is liquor, second one tobacco, third one chemical, fourth one defense equipment, and the last one is the industrial explosives. So from these 5 industries, first one liquor, second one tobacco, third one chemical industries, fourth one defense equipment, and the last one industrial explosive. From this, except these 5 industries, government has abolished the licensing system. It means that now the private enterprises can set up their industries without the government approval in India. Second one, decrease in the role of public sector. The main step that was taken by government, they decreased the role of public sector. Earlier, most of the industries were under the control of government. Prior to 1991, there were 17 industries which were under the control of public sector directly. But after 1991, these public owned industries were reduced from 17 to 3 industries. These 3 industries were railway transport, atomic energy generation and defense equipment. Means that now there are only 3 industries which were directly controlled by government, that is defense equipment, railway transport and atomic energy generation industry. Rest other industries were privatized by the government or government allowed to private enterprises to invest in other industries. The third step is de-reservation under SSI. SSI refers to small scale industry. So after 1950, through the Karo Committee, recommendation of Karo Committee 1955, government has reserved some kind of industries for at small scale level to protect them from the large scale industries. But after 1991, government has de-reserved all those industries which were only for the small scale, as well as government has also raised the ceiling of investment in small scale industries from 5 lakh to 1 crore rupees. Next one, to liberalize MRTP Act 1969. What is MRTP Act? MRTP means that Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act. It was passed in 1969. This act, the main aim was that private enterprises cannot merge, they cannot expand their business without the approval of government. But after 1991, government has liberalized the MRTP Act for most of the industries, and few industries were there where the government had their own control. So these were the main steps were taken by government to reform the industrial sector. Second one, financial sector reforms. First of all, what is the meaning of financial sector? So financial sector refers to all the commercial banks such as State Bank of India, Central Bank, Oriental Bank of Commerce, all the investment banks like Shriram Finance, LIC, etc. All kinds of market exchange operations and the foreign exchange market. So these all combinedly known as the financial sector. What are these? Commercial banks. Second one, financial exchange market. Third one, the stock exchange operations, investment banks. These all are combinedly known as the financial sector. And in India, the financial sector is controlled by the Central Bank, Reserve Bank of India. So in the financial sector also, government introduced certain changes to reform the financial sector of India. And what were those changes? The first step that was taken by government to change in role of RBI. Prior to 1991, most of the decisions related to the financial sector was taken by RBI. But now government changed the role of RBI from controller to facilitator. It means that now the private sector, they did not have to take permission from the RBI for most of the matter. Means that government has given them freedom to take decision up to certain limit, and there were no interference of RBI. This was the first step that was taken to reform the financial sector of India. Second one, origin of private banks. After 1991, government allowed many private banks to set up in our country, not only the domestic but also the foreign banks. For example, ICICI Bank, that is a domestic bank, and HSBC Bank, that is a foreign bank. Due to the arrival of these private banks, they created a more competitive environment that ultimately benefited to the consumers, like they given more interest than the other government sector banks, etc. So this was the second step that was introduced by government after 1991. Third one, increase in limit of foreign investment. As you all know that before 1991, Indian government main objective was self-reliance as well as to protect the domestic industries, and due to that they did not allow the foreign investors in India. But after 1991, government has changed their policy and now they allowed the foreign investment, that is the FDI, foreign direct investment, around 51% in India. That ultimately raised the foreign exchange reserves of India. Next, ease in expansion process. Government has also simplified the expansion process of commercial bank and other investment banks in India. Now, these banks, public sector or private sector, they did not there were no need to take permission from the RBI for their expansion. So these were the main steps that was introduced by government to reform the financial sector of India. Third one, tax or fiscal reforms. Now, what is fiscal? So all the policies related to the taxation, policies related to the public finance, borrowing, these all combinedly known as the fiscal policy of government. There is a separate chapter associated with the fiscal policy in the macroeconomics. There we will study about it in detail. But till that, what were the steps were taken by government to improve the condition of taxation and the fiscal? So tax, first of all, what is tax? So tax is one of the way where with the help of tax government raise their revenue, and mainly the taxes are two types, direct tax and indirect tax. I think you all know about it, but one more time I will explain you. Direct taxes means those kind of taxes which is levied on the income of the individuals and the profit of the business enterprises. These are those kind of taxes which cannot be transferred from one person to another person. For example, income tax, wealth tax, corporate tax, etc. Whereas indirect taxes are those taxes which impacted the people on their income and the profit of the business enterprises through the whenever the consumer they are spending the money over the goods and services, means that when the consumers they are spending money over the goods and services, so the tax is levied on those goods and services known as the indirect taxes. Indirect taxes are those taxes which you can transfer. You are not directly paying. You are paying it, but it is depend upon your consumption expenditure. If you will not do the consumption expenditure, so you can deny it. But If you will do the consumption expenditures, ultimately you have to give the taxes. Earlier there were the VAT, service tax. Nowadays there is the GST, goods and services tax. So in the case of direct and indirect tax, in the direct tax, as I told you, you cannot transfer. It is directly levied on your income and the profit of the business enterprises. Whereas in case of indirect taxes, it ultimately affect you on your income and the profit through your consumption expenditure. If you will not spend money, so you can transfer it, and that's reason it is known as indirect tax. For more detail about the direct and indirect tax, we will study in the macroeconomics, government sector and budget. There is a chapter, there we will study about in detail. So what were the reforms introduced by government to reform the fiscal policy of India or the tax? The first one is the reduction in direct taxes. Prior to the 1991, there were higher taxes on the income and profit of the business enterprises, and this was the main reason behind the tax evasion. People, they were not willingly to disclose their income or the savings. So first step that was taken by government, they reduced the direct taxes from the income of the person, which resulted the more savings of the persons, and now they voluntarily disclose their savings or their income. So this was the first step that was taken by the government. Second one, reforms in indirect taxes. Government also simplified the indirect taxes in our country. Recently the GST is one of the example of indirect taxes that was simplified. One tax, one nation. Third one, simplification of process to pay taxes. One more thing that was introduced by government, they simplified to paying the taxes. Earlier that was very complicated to pay the taxes because most of the people in our country were not literate, but government, they simplified the tax payment system. By that a common person can understand and they can pay the taxes. So these were the steps that was taken by the government to reform the taxation. Next one, foreign exchange reforms. Foreign exchange means foreign currency. All the currencies beside the domestic currency known as the foreign currency, like the domestic currency of India is rupees and dollar, pound, dinar, euro. Other currencies of the foreign countries are known as the foreign exchange. So there is a big role of foreign exchange for any country because all the countries are not independent, they are interdependent, and they have to be based on for more kind of goods to the other countries. For example, petroleum. India imports 85% of need of petroleum from the foreign countries, and India have to pay them in their own currency, not in the rupees. So there is a big role of foreign exchange. So as you know that in 1990 the foreign exchange of India was too low. There was a fall in the foreign exchange. So government has taken certain steps to reform it. The first one is that devaluation of rupee. Now, what is the meaning of devaluation? Devaluation means that the value of domestic currency, when it decreases in against the foreign currency, known as the devaluation. To decrease the value of the domestic currency in against the foreign currency known as the devaluation. There is also a separate chapter, foreign exchange, that we will study in the macroeconomics. But till that, devaluation we can understand with a simple example. Suppose that right now $1 is equal to 60 rupees. Let's suppose that $1 is equal to 60 rupees. So devaluation means that if government will decrease the value of Indian rupee in against the American dollar from 60 to 70 rupees, so this term is known as devaluation. What is the purpose of it? The main purpose is that due to the devaluation, it attracts the foreigners to purchase the goods and services from India. How? For example, suppose any good that is the price of the good is 60 rupees, so an American citizen have to pay $1. But if the devaluation takes place, so in the same amount of money that American citizen will spend, that is $1, he can avail more quantity. For example, suppose earlier they availed 100 gram. Now they can avail more than 100 gram in the same expenditure of money. So ultimately it is profitable for the American citizen. So that's reason they will attract towards the goods and services of that other country. So under the foreign exchange reform, government devalued the rupee in against the foreign currency. Second step, market determination of exchange rate. Earlier this exchange rate, foreign exchange rate, was decided by government, but after 1991 government they leave the exchange rate determination over the market. In grade 11 last chapter of microeconomics you should read about the market equilibrium, where the price is decided by market forces, market demand and market supply. On the basis of same concept, here also the rate is decided by the market demand and market supply. This we will study in detail in the foreign exchange chapter. So till that, these are the main steps that was taken by government to reform the foreign exchange market of India. And the last reform that was under the liberalization was the trade and investment policy reform. What is trade and investment policy reform? So prior to 1991, as you know that government main strategy was inward looking strategy to substitute the import of the goods and to produce more and more goods within country. But after 1991, first of all, government has removed the quantitative restrictions on import and export. Quantitative restrictions means that quota. So government has removed the quota from the various goods and services in India. That is the first one. Second, removal of export duties. Government has removed the export duties. By that, domestic goods, Indian goods will compete and they will make their position in the foreign markets. Third one, reduction in import duties. Besides this, government also reduced, not removed, reduced the import duties from the many consumer goods and services. For example, after April 2001, government has reduced the import duties from the agricultural goods as well as the manufactured consumer goods. means that government has also changed certain things in the tariff that was introduced after 1950, tariff and quota. So that was changed here, and after that relaxation in import licensing system. Beside this, government has also given relaxation in the import licensing system. From most of the goods and services, import licensing was abolished, except certain like the which were the sensitive and sensitive for the society as well as for environment. So certain goods and services were still under the licensing, but most of the goods and services were totally removed or relaxed from the licensing system. So these are the main reforms was introduced by government under the liberalization. Once again, industrial sector reform, under that they reduced the industrial licensing. Only 5 industries they had to take the license. First one liquor, second one tobacco, third one defense equipment, fourth one industrial explosive, and the fifth one hazardous chemical or dangerous chemical industry. Decrease in the role of public sector. Government has decreased the role of public sector due to the poor performance. Earlier those were 17, now these were only 3, and these 3 were the railway transport, atomic energy and defense equipments. De-reservation under SSI. So those industries which were reserved under the small scale industries were de-reserved, and now government also raised the ceiling of investment in small scale industries from 5 lakh to 1 crore. To liberalize MRTP Act 1969, government has also liberalized the MRTP Act. By that, the Indian market became more competitive for the domestic industries also, as well as for the foreigners. Under second, financial sector reform. So under the financial sector reform, first of all, government changed the role of RBI, that was earlier controller and now it is facilitator. So the role of RBI converted from controller to facilitator. Second one, origin of the private banks. Many private banks were emerged in India. They set up not only the domestic but also the foreign, like ICICI Bank, Indian Bank, domestic bank, and HSBC Bank is a foreign bank. Increase in limit of foreign investment. Government has increased the foreign investment limit around 51% in India, that ultimately raised the inflow of foreign exchange in our country, is in expansion process. Now the private banks or private financial institution, they did not have to take permission from the RBI for their expansion. They can increase their branches without the approval of RBI up to certain limit, not only for private but also the public sector, financial sector. Next one, tax or fiscal reforms. Tax means, as I told you, direct and indirect. Direct taxes are directly levied on your income and the profit of the business enterprises. You cannot transfer it. Indirect, that is based on the consumption expenditure of the individual's income. It affected of consumers' income and profit of the business enterprises through the consumption expenditure. So you can control it. If your consumption expenditure is less, so you can avoid this tax. If your consumption expenditure is high, so you are paying it. But you are not paying it directly. It is moving from one person to another person. So under this, government has reduced the direct taxes. Ultimately, it helped for the raising the saving of the individuals as well as voluntary declaration of the savings, which were the main problems prior to 1991 of the tax evasion due to the higher direct taxes. Government has also reformed the indirect taxes. For example, GST, simplification of the process to pay taxes. Government has simplified to pay taxes. They have reformed many things. Next one, foreign exchange reforms. Government devalued the rupee, as well as the foreign exchange rate is now determined by the market. Under the trade and investment policy, simply government has reformed tariff and quota system. Quota system was removed from most of the industries, as well as tariff was reduced or removed for most of the industries. So these were the main policies under the liberalization. Now we will study the next one, privatization. I am just erasing it. Now the second one, privatization. Now what is privatization? So it refers to transfer of ownership, management and control from public sector to private sector. So this is known as the privatization, and privatization can be done in two ways. What are these two ways? The first one is that transfer of ownership, and second one, disinvestment. Now, transfer of ownership, as you know, to give the ownership to the private enterprises, to sell all the shares of public sector to the private sector. And second one, disinvestment. Now, what is disinvestment? So, selling of disinvestment means that selling of the part of the equity of PSUs to the private individuals or the private enterprises. So it means selling of the equity of PSUs to the public or private enterprises. So this is known as disinvestment. So with the help of disinvestment, government has allowed the private industries and private enterprises to do investment, and the main purpose of privatization was to make a competitive environment in India, as well as the fiscal discipline, the financial discipline of India. Beside this, government has also taken certain steps to improve the condition of public sector undertaking, and in some cases government allowed the private enterprises to improve the condition of public sector, and for some public sector undertakings government have given some kind of special status, or you can say government has allowed them to take some kind of managerial decisions or autonomy to the PSUs. government introduced three kind of special status for the PSUs. These are Maharatnas, Navaratna and Mini Ratnas. As per 13th September 2017, 13th September 2013, there were 8 Maharatnas, 16 Navaratnas, and 74 Mini Ratnas. Beside involving the private sector in PSUs, government has also introduced certain steps, government has also taken certain steps to improve the condition of public sector undertakings, and government has given more autonomy to take some kind of managerial decision, and ultimately this helped the PSUs and that improved their performance. As well as government has also given them some kind of special status, and these status were Maharatnas, Navaratnas, Mini Ratnas. Navaratna concept is based on the Navaratna of courtiers of King Vikramaditya, but Navaratna is not means that 9 per PSUs. Earlier that was 9, but now these are 16. After providing this kind of special status, the performance of the PSUs improved, and that ultimately helped in the growth and development of Indian economy. Some example of Maharatnas, Mini Ratnas and Navaratna. For Maharatna, first one is that Indian Oil Corporation Limited, and second one is Steel Authority of India. It is known as Indian Oil, IOL, and this is known as SAIL, SAIL, Steel Authority of India. Navaratna, here I will take 2 examples. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, that is known as HAL, and second one Mahanagar Telephone Nigam Limited. So Mahanagar Telephone Nigam Limited known as MTNL. Mini Ratnas, for example, Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, that you know, BSNL. Second one, Airport Authority of India, and one more that you know about IRCTC, Indian Railway Catering and Tourism Corporation, IRTC. So these are some examples of Maharatna, Navaratna and Mini Ratna. Maharatna, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, IOL. Steel Authority of India, SAIL, SAIL. Navaratna, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Second one, Mahanagar Telephone Nigam Limited. For Mini Ratnas, Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, BSNL, Airport Authority of India, and IRCTC, Indian Railway Catering and Tourism Corporation Limited. So these are some examples of the special status of the PSU. So let's recapitulate. Privatization. So privatization means that it refers to transfer of ownership, management and control from public sector to private sector. Privatization can be done in two ways. First one is that transfer of ownership, and second one disinvestment. What is disinvestment? So it means selling of the equity of PSUs to the public. Means that government, they ask the public or private persons to take some kind of managerial decisions to improve the condition of PSUs. Beside this, government has also taken certain steps to improve the condition of PSUs. These were to provide special status to the PSUs. Second one, to give PSUs autonomy to take certain decisions, and ultimately it improved the performance of the PSUs. The special status provided by government are Maharatna, Navaratna and Miniratna. Here also the PSUs that can be changed as per their performance. As per 13 September 2017, sorry, here it is 17, 13 September 2017, there are 8 Maharatnas, 16 Navaratnas and 74 Miniratnas in India. So that's all for today. Today also you will get the assignment, and as you know, you have to submit that through ERP. So please, I will request you all that to submit your assignment on time and in the PDF form, not in the JPG. If you will try to send your assignment in the PDF form, so it is very easier for your teachers to check it in a proper way. So thank you for today. Stay safe, stay home.